All right, let's get this going today. Still, I'm upstairs in the new office that's being created. I have a fun chandelier over my head right there. Anyways, new space. Let me go over today's trades, and this is with the aggressive C3 algo trade and the original C3 algo trade. And again, you're to see on one side of the screen the aggressive trade, and the other side is the original. And what I'm doing is I'm combining those two to make one specific trade. And that's kind of the beauty and the power of it. It's also the simplicity of it. There's still some nuances that I'm working out, but I wanted to get this video out and start talking about this now and let you know that the screen leap is back up so that way you can watch this for yourselves. And so any input on a couple of questions I have just from extra data points would be fantastic. I don't have tens of thousands of data points. But when conferring about like, hey, how can I get the aggressive C3 algo trade to work with prop firms? Because that was the hard part. Working with prop firms, I well, the biggest example I had was that I was up $4,000. The price came all the way back down. I got out after making 1,000, but the prop firm said the high water mark was up here and you lost $3,000. And so I was blowing through accounts pretty fast. I blew through 5 accounts in about a week and a half, which is not good. We're keeping score at home. So when I knew that the aggressive side would work, and I knew that the original C3 Agro side would work as well. And so when I started combining those two, that's when the magic started happening. That's when I was able to be like, okay, hey, look, I have something that so far from my data points, I only got about 52 of them. Just because you get about 10 a day. They'll look back a week so far. Between the hours of 5 a.m. to 1 a.m. is just the hour time frame I'm looking for. And they worked out great. And so I'm going to go over the few of the trades with you today. And I'll also show you my questions and then I'll show you the ones that worked out perfectly. So the first trade I took, um, let me preface this. And so where my mouse is moving around right now, this is the original C3 algo. And you can notice that on the other side of the screen over here is the aggressive C3 algo side. You see all the blue crosses are much closer to the bars, and you get a lot more um, arrows and blue crosses, and sorry, blue arrows and red arrows. And so whereas this you get less. And that's why I like, well, hey, if you combine these things, it works out great. And what I'm looking for ideally is this trade right here. On the aggressive side, you have an entry point at this 529. Now, 530 normally for me is announcement time, but wasn't any major announcements, so I wasn't afraid to make this trade. 529, I saw that, okay, great. We had a trade pop up here, and I can watch these crosses come on up here because nothing else worked so far. And then I placed a sell order right on the bottom of this guy and the price came down, it bounced around a little bit, and then it shot down. I made a quick 200 bucks. And what I did on my account, I had my auto trail system kicked in at 5, and then I have a one loss, and so I got 4 ticks out of that. But I was trading like 10 contracts with it, so that's how I got made 200 bucks on it. I netted 200. And I realized that in looking back on the data, you only get maybe one, two trades an hour, and because you get 10, and sometimes you go for an hour, hour and a half without having a trade. But in the early morning hours between 5 a.m. to about say 7 a.m., you could get probably about two or three, maybe four. It just depends on the day. And it'll be interesting to continue to watch like the best time to make these trades. But in the early morning hours is kind of what I found. I get the most frequent, which is good because that's usually the window where I like to trade. And because I only get so many trades, I was like, well, I'm going to load up the contracts. And if the win percentage is as high as I've seen so far, then I'm going to try to make 500 to 1,000 bucks a day and then get out, right? I mean, that's the ideal. $500 a day is 10,000 a month. So the next trade after this didn't happen until 6:58, so an hour and a half later. But let me just bring these charts over. So I'm going to shrink this down a little bit, and then I'll show you this trade. And it happened at 6:58. I believe it was this guy right here. And what it is that actually this one happened at the exact same time. Here it is. No, no, this is 657. Okay, that's right. So at 657, this one worked out fantastic too. 657 hit on the aggressive side, and I would have gotten here. Oh, that's right. The blue cross was down below. And so when I looked at the candles to see how far this would have gone up, this went up $4 or $5, which is 16 to 20 ticks. And I'm only trying to get like 10, 12 ticks. So easy money right here. But this one worked out because you had the early indicator at this time. Blow this up here a little bigger. And then at 657. And then I'm waiting for this one. Now this is a skinny blue trade, but it did work out. Okay. And I would have been in probably sitting waiting with my entry point right around here somewhere. But the blue cross was inside this bar. So that's the only confusing part I would have looked at. Then there's a couple that happened in sequential order. So I'm going to skip to 722 and 727. So just 20 minutes down the road. I believe it was this one right here. Okay, cool. So here's 721. Ideally, this is an ideal one. This popped in at 721. The blue cross is way up here. You put the entry point in, and at 722, it got you in. And so you're watching the blue crosses come down. You have time because this is going to hit. You're like, all right, obviously, as long as the price stays above, let's see, 931-ish, then you know that you're going to get an arrow here. And based upon this, so I would have a buy order set right at this stopping point right here, okay? And with that buy order, I can oh, wrong screen. I was trying to go to buy order. Um, this would have hit and then went up. And so that's how I'm looking at this. I'm using the aggressive side as an additional filter as to the power of like the movement. And then I'll take the buy order at 722. The next one popped up right here, 726 and 727. Another one. This is a great one too. And I'll probably end the video after this. 726, the aggressive one hits, and then 727, I'm just putting my sell orders. All right, I'll put it there, I'll put it there. Price came down, got you in, and then this one fell pretty quick. This is a big candle. I would have maxed out or at least gotten 10, 12 ticks out of this and then been done for the day as well. And so these two little candles worked out fantastically. Um, but this is what I'm looking for. And ideally, these came in within a few minutes of each other after sitting waiting for an hour and a half. We would have gotten rewarded with two extra trades. The first one, again, 721. You got a minute, which I like. I like having the ability to be a little bit more prepared than, oh, great, there it is. And because it's going to take time in between those trades, because I was lucky. I got the first trade at 5:30, and then another trade didn't happen. I had a short window today to trade, and if I would could wait another hour and a half, then I could have gotten a couple more trades in. But my window of time, I was only able to get one trade, and that's kind of what I hope for. You know, if you realize you can only get 300 to $500 a day, that's great because again, $500 a day, 10,000 a month, 250 a day is $5,000 a month. So when you start adding up like that, they make some significant dollars. So that's how I'm using this trade right now. There's a couple little nuances of other trades in there that or other scenarios I've seen. There's two other scenarios specifically that I'm still working on. But right now, I'm not taking those trades. I'm only taking what I just showed you uh, because that's what I see. And so far, of the 52 of those trades that I've gone back and looked at, and I had to then go back to all the candles to make sure all the candles worked out. Like, okay, this is where I hit the entry point. What would happen to the candle? And it shot up, it shut down. What happened? And I made money. So far it's 52 out of 52. Great high percentage, but usually I like having hundreds, if not like 1,000 different data points to get accuracy percentage. So far that's what we're using. But super excited about this because Court's using his aggressive side. He's on day 48 or 49 of just pure wins. He hasn't had a losing day in over a month and a half. And so that's awesome. Month and a half of trading days. And so I know that side works. It's just using it with prop firms. That was the part that was just hitting my head against the wall trying to figure that out. And finally, I was like, well, I just might as well combine this with what we have, and confirmation made it all work out. So, all right, guys, that's all I got for you for today. The ghost behind me. Anyways, I'll see you next time. Say your prayers while you trade and have a good one.